welcome to Prana Talk TV. I'm Shana Dean, and
this is Elitom El-amin.
Welcome everyone, and welcome Elitom. It's so wonderful to see you today.
Good to be seen. Life is so wonderful.
Oh, life is so wonderful. And tell us, where are you joining us from today? I'm in Sedona, Arizona, and you right now, I know you're moving around in India, but where are you right now?
I'm in Kerala, India, which is in the South India. And coming to the South has been a really good experience, because usually I'll be in the North visiting India. And the South has a whole different, they got many languages here, of course. I'm running into all of this, but also kind of a different culture setting that I'm learning as well, which is all good. So I'm learning so much, and I'm having a good time here in Southern India. And so now I can most definitely say I've been from the north, west, east, and south of India. I've mastered the whole map.
I love it. And you've been doing a lot of in-person retreats there, right? Didn't you just finish one? And are you going into another one? You want to tell us a little bit about that so people can know what's going on in the global front and how this breatharian lifestyle is really building?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've been doing retreats back to back. I was in Goa, India, where I literally did 5 retreats in intervals, like every 2 weeks, 5 retreats, many people coming, improvements, nothing but positive feedback. Then I went to Oroville, India, and Oroville is like a project that was set up 52 years ago. It's a makeshift city that was set up, and it was built on a foundation by Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo, off of the teachings of, they call it a mother. And they had the immortal message. They wanted to create a state that was cashless, not using money, but inviting everybody from different countries, different languages. So right now it has about over 3,000 people living there. And it's been there for 52 years. So not only that it was established on physical immortality, also the Breatharian message was there for over 20 years. Because Jasmuheen works came through there and left the message. So when I went there, they were already ready for me. And that makes the difference between teaching somebody who never heard it before compared to people who's been living an immortal lifestyle, know the spiritual practices. So it was a whole different ballgame. When I got there, we did retreats back to back for the whole month of February. That was a lot of energy. Everybody came together. There was like over 50 to 100 people every day, all throughout the month. Everybody loved it so much that right now it's March, so we're taking a break. And we're going back again for the month of April. Again, everybody's getting together. And this group is so hungry there. And people coming from all around because they're knowing we're there. They want to create the first breatharian community on the planet. Yes, right now we're established. We don't need to wait for government's funding. This is all about the people. And if you're doing it and if you're living it, you're creating a space for yourself. So since I'm living this lifestyle, and I was like basically the right candidate to bring the message down to earth plus living it. And you got the right foundation of people there. The foundation is already laid in Oroville, because not only you got Oroville, you also got Pondicherry, which is the city next to it. And this is the only ashram in the world that wasn't built out in the wilderness or away from the people. It was built in a city, and it built a city around it. This is amazing. So when I went there, it was a different energy altogether, but everyday people living there in a whole city that was built by an ashram. So of course it's a whole difference when you got a cities and places where there's no alcohol there, there's no drugs taking place, you understand. And energy cultivation, you could do it without somebody questioning you, and everybody's basically doing it. So this is the right locations whatsoever to start this on the planet, and it's taking off right now. For those who's watching the broadcast and want to say, where's the breatharian knowledge? When you take your next vacation, you know where to come to meet all of this powerful energy firsthand.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. And it reminds me too of how we can bring this into our personal life, because you're talking about an ashram that's built in the middle of all of this. And when you're on a
Hmm.
breatharian path and on the journey, the pranic journey, you really kind of have to build your body like the temple, and your lifestyle and what's going on around you is going to be built around your temple to support what's going on within the temple, wouldn't you say?
Hmm. Right. Just like a fish in a, I hate to say in a fish tank, but if the fish tank is dirty, it's not going to be very good for the fish. Its environment and the fish just thriving, and it goes hand in hand. So we as human beings, I guess we're getting a memo more and more, especially dealing with global warming, polluting the planet, what we're doing with our behavior to the planet. Yes, it's affecting the people because we're affecting the environment. They go hand in hand, and we can't get away from that. So this is very important on the breatharian journey, to create a breatharian world that will be able to sustain you. And since we're breathing air, listen at that word, breatharian. Yes, right now I'm boldly teaching. I live off the air, breatharian live off the air. Keep the air clean so we can live.
Yeah.
That's a crime.
Yes, and also our immediate environment too, like our household and our personal lifestyles, right? Because Elitom and
Mm-hmm.
I, before we started filming, we were talking about what to do to stay healthy and what to do to kind of build the life around you to support your efforts.
Oh, big time. Because listen at this. I was traveling through this one city, and even though they all had the holistic information and the knowledge, the environment was affected by drugs, alcohol, loud music, and all this other stuff. Not saying nothing's wrong with that, but we are dealing with this lifestyle. By that being rooted in the environment and in the households, it was hard for people to maintain the frequency compared to the other place I went to. Not only the people had the same information, the same knowledge, they were able to thrive because they didn't have these negativities all around them 24/7. Also, the food was different around them.
Yes. Yeah, that makes a huge difference. So you want your environment to be positive. So what you'll find on this path is you're going to end up gravitating towards people who are positive, and your lifestyle that's really supportive to your efforts. And it's really important too to go with the flow when you're on this path, and that you don't push so hard. I'm always talking to people about this, because people want to transition really quickly into being food free, or they push themselves too hard, or they're fasting too aggressively. And it's really about going with the flow and being gentle with yourself. So it's creating a positive, supportive environment, but also just being, how should I say, going with the timing of your higher spirit, going with the
Oh,
timing
absolutely.
flow of the universe. This is really important, because your body, yourself, your higher self is no different than the universe. It's all one and the same. It's all oneness. So you can't push a lot of things. We all have to kind of evolve gently, be gentle with yourself.
And you're going to have to, because even, and I got to bring this up, when I went to Oroville, who, what I said, the message was there 20 years ago, the breatharian message was totally different than what it is today. And they had a tragedy that took place where somebody literally got injured, got hurt, trying to become a breatharian in 21 days. When I came there to reteach, over 20 years went past. Now the people said, thank you, Elitom. You made this make sense. It's down to earth. They didn't have these tools before. People actually thought, because we have been educated with this metaphysical, fictional way that we thought spirituality is supposed to be. The angel's supposed to come get you and meet you and all of this stuff, and you're special. No, this takes work to transform yourself. This is the point we got to make. So when I did this retreat for a month in Oroville, the reason why everybody has so much fantastic improvements, everybody was willing to put in the work together collectively so that the energy can grow, so that the energy can build. This isn't putting tape on your mouth. You are going to be unsuccessful through that route.
Yes, exactly. And I think this is a really important point to make because I see a lot of people in my own business and even personally who will go on a fast or do something and they look very sickly or they're very weak and they're handling the detox in a very rough way. And just remember,
Right.
everything is gentle. Everything is gentle. You should be feeling good every step along the way or ease back. Um,
Oh,
don't,
exactly.
yeah, don't push so hard and don't think you're on a time limit.
Yeah.
Truly go with the flow and follow what you love and follow what makes you feel good. And the most important thing is keeping up your energy cultivation practices and keeping your mind really clear, really, really
Absolutely.
clear. So
Because what
Elitom,
I got to remind, oh, go ahead.
no, no, no.
Sorry. Because what we got to remind people, this is a health message. If you're doing something that appears to be healthy just because you heard about it, and you're having a hard time and you're not looking healthy, not being healthy, you are doing the wrong thing. We got to put this in mind. There was just a man on social media, and I see him all the time. Every time he posted a picture, it's of some food he just ate. It's not healthy at all. But all of a sudden, he wanted to put up that he wants to go on a 7-day dry fast. And I got to say, wait a minute. I remember when you did a 1-day dry fast, you was crying and almost passed out. Now you think that all of a sudden, but this is what he said. He said, if you look at the internet, they say 1 day of dry fasting is worth 3 days of water fasting. That's all he heard. We're looking for the quick fix and he's about to hurt himself. So just like what we were saying, we got to teach safety first over and over again. You're not going to become a breatharian that way. That is not what it is. This is an energy cultivation, human development exercise. When you're developing your body to handle more energy through a lifestyle. Oh, let me forget that. See, success is not a process or an event. Now I'm going to bring something up we hate to hear. Success comes through hard work. There's a thing dealing with geniuses. There's a documentary dealing with modern day geniuses. Yes, we can say they got a talent, whether they was born into it or they figured it out somewhere in their life that they're good at it. But not only they were good at it or had this going for them, they decided to work at it over and over again till they became exceptionally good at it. Is this making sense? This is the work we're talking about. So even when you're fasting, don't think you're going to fast for a week, 3 days, 21 days, and poof, I'm this breatharian. I'm telling you that no, you need to fast in your routine of a lifestyle, and it need to be long-term thinking. It's from here on out, so your body can stay on that cycle. And then when you come out of the fast, I had to catch people with this. What do you eat when you come out of a fast when you're not fasting? 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna tell you what people eat: junk and everything else. You're not even eating healthy. You didn't even change your diet. This is what people are doing. I'm catching them on it. Oh man, this is good.
Yeah, there's a few,
But we,
yeah. Oh, I'll let you finish.
oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going
No,
to
go
say
ahead.
there's a few things. So people get really kind of busy in the mind about this. Like you said, you know, you can read on the internet that 1 day of dry fasting is equal to 3 days of water fasting. So you get that in your mind and you think, oh, well, that 1 day of dry fasting is the best. Or you can read about this particular cleanse or that one, and you can decide that that's the best. Well, that puts you right into like this mental place where you're not tuned into your body. So you might ignore some of the cues that your body's giving you that may not be the right path, but in your mind you say, well, gee, I read this. Other people have had good experiences, therefore it must be okay for me. So make sure when you're on this path that you don't get so mental about it that you ignore the body, the heart, and your intuition.
Right.
And that is key because this path is an intuitive path. This path is
Absolutely.
all about listening to the body. And yes, you can actually use your higher mind to start reprogramming the body, but don't use the logical linear mind and get stuck in that and ignore the body. There's a difference there because this is a path about intuition and spirit and energy. This is an energy path. So make sure
It's
that
the energy.
you drop in and you check in with yourself and you be really real with your spirit and your energy and how you're feeling. So unless you know how to tune in energetically, intuitively, this may not be the right path for you, right? So you need to learn
Right.
along the way to how to trust your inner self. If you're just working with what's up here and what you've read, you might want to rethink or slow down on the path until you really can trust yourself, your higher self. That's so, so important.
And even when they come out with that information, 1 day of dry fast is worth 3 days of water fasting. They don't really mean that or know that. Stop trying to make scientists into another religion like the Catholic Church. If they said it, that means it's true from God. It's not like that with everybody. Everybody's body's different. You're giving off different toxins at certain times to keep you alive. It depends on what you've been eating, how you look, what your weight is, what's your current health. It's not like that. You understand? So now there is a rule. I'm going to tell you where that 21 days come from also. Now there's a thing that says it takes 21 days to change a habit, but that's not true, or we'll be locking everybody up for 21 days. But 21 days was brought up because in 21 days of doing something repeatedly, you have the potential to be able to change a habit. Let's get into that.
Yes, yes.
It's a potential.
It's the potential.
So that's why there's a 2190 rule. Now, this is what it is. I did a retreat where I said, okay, because people ask, how long does it take? You're going to ask that. Well, it usually takes 66 days. Now, 66 days to bring in a new habit. Now, even when they say 66 days, don't mean that's for everybody. But for a person that's over a couple months, like say if you wanted to start waking up an hour earlier, they'll even will tell you in that training, yeah, give yourself over a couple months. Don't wait till a few days and what, just this ain't me. You have to stick with it. But even then, when you got the 66 days, that they call it the 2190 rule. It takes what, 90 days to really get that incorporated in your system. So one is the 21 days is the potential of a habit. 66 days is when you got the habit. That don't still mean it's there. 90 days is when the habit, you did have that life experience. Now, I did do a video one day where I told people about the 100-day process. And that was geared for people who don't know how to meditate, to understand and start cultivating energy for 90 days. Don't even worry about the food part. Can you run that energy through your body and stay consistent? Oh man, this is good. But even dealing with the 21 days, 66 to 90, that still ain't for everybody across the board. In reality, through science, they say it takes from 18 to 214 days. Listen at this.
But I love all of this because 90 days is 3 months. 3 months is a season, right? So if you can do something for a season, you're pretty locked in. However, every season is different, right?
Right.
So I personally think if you can get through all 4 seasons, a whole year, then you're locked in.
Then you're locked in.
Go
and I'm
through
glad you
all
brought that
the
up.
seasons, all the cycles, yeah.
Now listen at this. Goal setting. You want to make achievable goals, achievable but not too small. Because if you make the goals too small, then you feel you're not using your potential. I know how people feel by doing that. Because usually when I say at least fast once a week, and I know people want to hear more, because you do want to use your potential. So, but you do want to get something that's achievable also. That's why I say get the food freedom, the total food and drink out of your mind for right now. Right now, get some achievable stuff going on. You understand that you can do, but it's going to take a little something too, so you can feel proud about yourself and you can start growing. And you said the key words because these seasons, oh my gosh. Yes, spring is different than summer.
Yeah.
Summer's different than the fall.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
I remember that the worst season for myself was, all right, I gotta say it. First it was Halloween. Then Thanksgiving came after that, because I had to eat at the family get together. Then Christmas was coming up. Then New Year's was coming up. Then my birthday is in January. That didn't help. Then in America, they had the Super Bowl coming up. They had the basketball championships coming up. So all my friends was calling me because they want to drink beer, order pizzas. So I was hit through that whole season. You know, as I was growing up, that was like out the window, whatever changes you was making, because every time you turn around, there was something else coming up where you felt you had to be there. So it took a minute to what? Retransform your life when you're coming out of that type of cycle. That's why you want to start getting achievable goals, but also giving yourself a workout. So especially being on the breatharian journey, you got to think with logic too, especially if you're living in that type of culture. That don't mean you always got to lock yourself up and stay away from family or friends, but at least show up and try to get a different type of plate. Now, there's a good thing I want to put up. Learn to start eating less.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. And I want to piggyback something on what you just said, because sometimes it's just about reframing our experiences. So for example, I think about summer, and a lot of people during the summer, they eat more because they're out, they're barbecuing, they're picnicking, they're camping with their friends. You know, it's not the time, you know, you're not in like you are in the winter and kind of hunkered down. It's easier because you're not quite as social, right? So that's one way of looking at summer. And I mentioned this because we're going into, well, we will be going into the summery months relatively soon, but you can reframe that and think, oh, summer, it's warm. This is the time to start eating lighter. This is the time to start having smoothies or fruit or maybe water fasting. So it's reframing it in your mind, right?
Yeah.
And looking at, oh, what can I do that's healthier, what's on the chronic path? You know, looking at winter, yes, I've got the football and the holidays and all of that, or I can use this as the meditative time to go in and eat less and be more introverted, right? So it's how are you looking at it? What's your perspective? So whatever it is that you look at in the season that you're in and that we're all in, and you look at the challenges of the way you've been doing things and you want to change that, how can you reframe it in a positive and really take advantage of what that particular season of your life has to offer for you? And I guarantee
absolutely,
it in your favor. And this is about creating that environment that's going to really support your breatharian efforts.
And I remember there was a summer in Ohio where that's when I seen the power of fruit. Just what you said, I made up in my mind, this summer I'm going to eat nothing but fruit. I didn't even limit on how much I'm going to take. It's just going to be fruit. And it was one of the hottest summers ever. And that's when I seen that my body could take more of the sun, because I knew it was connected to the diet. Back when my body was polluted, it was hiding from the sun. Now I didn't even know it was like that. And that's when I seen the power. And that's when you know something. Somebody could tell you something, but when you do it and come into your own self-realization, that's when I seen that power, because I was experiencing it. I was living it. And I was living at a whole nother level, having that type of summer on how I changed my lifestyle to go around that particular experiment.
Absolutely.
So this is good.
I love that. And that's a good point, because when you're eating all raw and a lot of fruits and you're not eating the cooked foods, you don't get as hot, you don't get as sweaty, your skin handles the sun totally differently. You no longer need sunscreen, you don't burn. It's really cool. Your body becomes more natural, because we are these natural energy beings that are part of the elements around us, like the sun and the wind and the water. Why should we have to lather ourselves in sunscreen and protect ourselves from an element that feeds us?
Mm-hmm. Right? Absolutely.
So if we're eating a natural diet, right, or eating less altogether, our body is more harmonious and more connected and more one with all the elements that are around us, because we are no different than the elements around us. We are all of those elements. It's all one.
Oh, absolutely.
So this lifestyle is about just putting us in alignment with our natural state on every level. That's how amazing
Every
this
level.
lifestyle is, every level.
And see, and look at this. I'm glad you brought up influences. Now, influences, you're not going to get rid of the influences in life. You're not going to expect the whole world, everybody in it, to change for your new mindset on what you want to do. You might as well get used to it and accept.
That's true.
Right. Somebody's going to be eating a burrito right beside you, okay? They don't care because you're on your breatharian journey. You might as well get over it. So you're going to have positive influences, neutral influences, and negative influences. And this is all going to come from you. So that's why I tell people, when you're on a breatharian path, don't think about eating or not eating. Think about your health, the way you're feeling, because health goes day by day and you know how you feel. You can't get out of it. Oh man, you know where you're at health-wise. Just be truthful with yourself, and you know some things you can eat that how you're going to feel afterwards. You start making that assumption. How much you can overdo it and stuff like this. You might even have to keep a logbook on yourself. You're on a health journey because you want to get the most out of the organism as possible, dealing with energy conservation. So positive influences are things that are helping you towards your goal. Like, it's a good thing when I got up this morning and I met the sun and I'm going to go walk the beach. That's a positive influence. The sun is coming up, and then I decided there were so many other things I could have done, but I said, no, I'm going to get a lawn chair and I'm going to do some swimming. Where everybody else is going to go eat breakfast, I'm going swimming. That's my positive influences. Then I laid out in the sun. I did some good meditation, good chanting, but I've been doing this long enough that that's my new nourishment. So those are my positive influences that led me to be healthy. And food freedom is a living in good health. But you built up a routine of positiveness where the food freedom came out of it, because I felt better being on the beach than going stuffing myself with these different types of breakfasts, even have to make the choice. Now, neutral influences, what is that? Now, that is things that usually you don't have no control over. Say if you're driving a car and you get caught in traffic and you're stuck there. So time is going, you could get frustrated. What are you going to do with that time? So usually when people are stuck in neutral influences, one of the things that used to take up a lot of your time was to go eat something. Most people eat out of a boredom or emotions. It is due to neutral influences. They want to eat up the time. They don't know what to do with themselves. Now you got the straight up negative influences. Yes, it could be quite tempting, you know, on a nice, cool night to be sitting there in front of Netflix, ordering a pizza, but that's what we call, right? You know, your Pepsi in this hand, a pizza here, we know it. That could be quite tempting. That's what we call a negative influences, because it's taking you away from your goal of health. We're straight saying it now. See, there's a time, like even we're teaching immortality now, and I'm coming straight up for it. You know, immortal don't eat pizzas. See, right now we're not judging it or nothing like that, because that's where everybody's at. But when you start getting at higher levels of thought, there's certain things you outgrow it. You outgrew that experience because it's leading us from our goal. It's leading us from our path. So now you got to start calling it, is this a positive influence, a neutral one, or a negative one? And even on your neutral influences, what can I do in order to get rid of this boredom or take care of this time? We're in an age where you can put on your headphones and listen to a good song, listen to a good lecture, start a nice positive conversation, call somebody and see how they're doing. You could use that time differently instead of letting that time lead you and it going back into a negative habit. This is what we're talking about. This is console mental work.
Yes, and I would even call the neutral influence you're referring to as unconscious influence. You know, when you're eating out of boredom and you're not really kind of paying attention to what you're eating. So I think
Right.
the way of getting out of that is just starting to become more aware of what your eating and snacking habits are, or becoming more conscious of what's influencing you to eat when you're not even really hungry, that kind of a thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it was this, and I'm glad you brought that up because it was this one mother, and I brought up mother because she had some kids where that was a job within itself, okay? And she said, but I don't eat much. Okay, I got that. Now her body was saying something totally different. Somebody will say, wait a minute, how did you get like that? But she's snacking so much throughout the day, she is not sitting down and having a meal. So that's why she thinks she don't eat a lot. But it's due to the snacking throughout the day that added up with all those calories, all that sugar, all of that salt, all of those fried foods that got her body totally out of shape. But she don't realize that, yeah, I don't eat a lot because she's not sitting down having that big full meal. And that's how we determine how much you're eating. So start being aware of how you're snacking, what you're picking up. That all makes sense on a breatharian journey.
Yeah, and why, and why. And you mentioned the health. So of course we have our physical health. So if you're eating certain foods and you wake up and you're puffy or you feel inflamed or your nose is running, you know, you have all these little indicators that the food's not agreeing with you. Most of the time people ignore those. But if you pay attention, you'll notice there's certain foods, or maybe even all foods, do that to you. But there's other
Right.
ways of gauging your health. Are you able to sit down and quiet your mind for an hour? Are
Whoa.
you able to meditate? How's your
Whoa.
energy? Do you wake up in the morning and jump out of bed, or do you feel like you just need to snooze for an hour? You know, like, how are you going to gauge your health in general? How's your mental health? How's your positive outlook? Um, how's your level of happiness in your life and contentment and all of that, fulfillment? Those are all other levels of health, and we need to look at the whole thing because our
Whoa.
lifestyles are holistic, right? We're not just a physical health. We have our health on a spiritual, energetic, emotional, mental,
Right.
many different levels. So check your health against all of those levels and see, how are you doing? You know, what areas do you need or would you like to improve?
Right. Oh my gosh, that is so good. I was walking today on the beach and I thought about this. I said, I am so glad, where I'm at now, I'm freed up from a lot of things, but it got easy for me to where something comes up that I can easily indulge into. I can easily throw it off because it has nothing to do with me right now. But when I looked at that, it's easy for me to do it now through being on this path throughout the years. A lot of people don't have that yet. Sometimes you get thoughts in your head and you're over highlighting them, and it really don't have nothing to do with you now. It's over with. Leave it alone. Stop letting it resurface over and over again. And some of the people you think is talking about you and the way they feel about you, they're not even thinking that. Just let it go. So that's training within itself. What Shana's talking about, that is what we call mental and emotional health. That's bigger than the physical health.
That's huge.
There's nothing attacking you.
Yeah, that does affect our physical health, our mental,
Yeah.
emotional health. That directly affects our physical health. So that's huge. Yes.
And that's the main thing of the breatharian journey. That's why you can't fast your way into it. What thoughts are you allowing to pervade your mind all day long? Because I met some people that got some nice bodies. You will really think they're breatharian. Nice bodies. But their thinking is crazy. That's why I don't fall for the illusion. Their thinking is crazy. The lights is on and nobody's home. It don't have nothing to do with that. They're mentally unaware, mentally detached. And they're letting so many thoughts bombard them that is overtaking everything, and your thoughts have the power to block energy flow when they're negative.
Right. Or open it.
This is why.
So you have to laugh your way into breatharianism.
Yeah, literally.
You have to meditate your way into breatharianism. You have to joyfully skip into breatharianism, you know?
Right. You got to laugh your way into it.
Laugh your way into it.
When I do my workshops, we had so much fun laughing. And that's a nourishment, that's a food. And the things we're laughing at is about my journey. I can laugh at it. Everything was funny along the way. And that was get you through. And that's why you want a fun journey. It wasn't serious that you beat up on yourself. And some people expect that type of story. I got a friend, she's still waiting for me to tell that story where I was at my last drink, ready to die, but I just hung in there and I broke through. He is actually waiting on that story. I said, I don't have that story. I'm sorry. That is not what took place.
That's not your story. If that's your
oh my God.
Or if somebody's having a story like that, you might want to rewrite the story.
Right.
Start having some.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Now, and another good one I want to bring up is many things in life do not require your comment. Oh, did I say that? So you need to master to be an observer of things, master it. Because there's many things that don't require your comment. As soon as you are commenting on it, that gets your mind engaged in it. It gets everything else engaged in it. Just be the observer, because observing is your higher self. That's all it does is observe.
Oh, Elitom,
caught into all of this stuff.
That's such a good lesson. That is such a good lesson. Yes! Because I do see this on social media all the time, but even in general, you're right. As soon as you comment on something, you formed an opinion, you have a judgment, you've engaged, and now your energy's there, and
right.
You need to be so entangled. It's really about being lighter in the mind, lighter in the heart, lighter in the body, lighter in the mind especially. But you're right. Yes, observe more, comment less. In fact, I think there's I'm not sure if it's a Zen saying or what, but unless silence can be improved by words, just stay silent. Like that's golden. and it's not like you're not allowed to speak, but there's such beauty in silence and such freedom and liberation and lightness in just being the observer, the non-judgment, unconditional, compassionate observer. Just
observe.
Just watch, I mean, there's a lot of truth to that on a spiritual level and a mental, emotional level, the whole thing. But
right.
It's pure freedom is what it is.
It's freedom.
Liberate yourself.
Oh my gosh, so much freedom.
Yes.
I was sitting there on the beach and I was just like one of the beach dogs. We was just all sitting there observing.
Yeah.
Observing the world around us. I am so free that I learned how to observe.
Yeah.
Not commenting on nothing. Don't even care. It's none of your problem.
Not even a comment to yourself. Not even that inner dialogue where, oh, look at that, or oh, this. It's just you let all that go. It's just you're just watching.
And we're good at it because it ain't like we can't. The human being's mind could go from a subjective to an objective. We do it all the time. I just did this at this retreat and everybody shook their head. You can observe the situation to stop trying to engage. You don't need to always say something. You don't always need to think about it. This is what meditation is teaching you. This is why we say meditation is the foundation of the Breatharian journey. You need to become the observer.
So
Stop engaging in everything.
let's turn this inward. You need to be the observer of yourself, right? That's key, because
Yeah.
we're all really good at judging ourselves or putting expectations on ourselves. Oh, I'm going to be a breatharian by June 1st. Really?
Right.
Is that an expectation? And is there going to be a judgment if you don't meet that goal? Speaking of goals, how's about if you just observe how your body feels when you meditate, when you fast? How about if you observe with no judgment, with full unconditional compassion? You observe and you go with the flow. You
Right.
liberate yourself from your own judgments. You liberate yourself from your own expectations. You just flow. Instead, you observe and you watch. What does your body want? What does your spirit want? What is your intuition telling you to do right now?
Oh my gosh. Now listen at this. This is extra credit.
Love extra credit.
Because you keep bringing up this going with the flow, and it's the truth. See, in sports, we use that term, going with the flow. That's when a sports player, they will come out and they had this big game where it seemed like they were in the zone. In basketball, it seemed like every time they shot it, it went in. In football or whatever, they went into the zone. They were in the flow. They were in their perfected state. We see it all the time. And even in our lives, there was something we were doing once upon a time where you were really in the flow. You wasn't thinking about yesterday. You wasn't thinking about the future. What you were into, you were in the moment. And everything was just going into place. You were in the flow, in that moment. Everybody has that ability. And there's times we all experience it. When you're on a breatharian journey, or what spirituality is talking about, us as human beings, what makes our brains different than other animals, we got more neurons in our frontal cortex of the brain. So there was a scientist who did study going in the flow on this aspect that human beings have. And this is what he said, or this is what they came up with. The human beings start using less of his brain. So we think in spirituality, expanding our consciousness, we want to use more of our brain. No, you don't. This is why you're backing up from materialism in the outside world so it can narrow itself down into the most powerful part of your brain where the focus is at, and that's where you're at. It ain't scattered all over the place. So when you live in a hustle and bustle lifestyle, doing this and doing that, your mind is scattered and you're not in the flow. But when you start giving up things, letting it go and all of this, it brings it back into the flow. And that's what we mean by being in the zone. So when you're sitting there, detaching from things, you're bringing more power back into the frontal cortex of your brain. And that's what's going to start nourishing you because you're more focused or aware of your body, the environment around you. But the more you keep splitting yourself up, I need to do this, I need to do that, judging this, judging that, all into this, you're wasting energy. So you're not in the zone. You're not in the flow. I hope this makes sense.
It does. And as somebody like myself who works and can see energy, when I see what you're talking about, it looks like little spikes of energy coming off, right? Like when we're looking and we're always needing to comment or engage or worry about this or worry about that. So you've got these spikes of energy that are coming off, and it does kind of drain your energy. But when you stop all of that and you reach this liberation where you're more of the observer and you're more kind of like within yourself, you can actually take your energy and cycle it within your body. I hope that makes sense. So what we're doing is when we're creating this energy cycle within ourselves, we're maintaining our own energy. When we're doing that, our energy is actually maintaining our physical body, because we don't have spikes of energy that are coming out and draining us, where we're being engaged in other people and other things, other events, to a point where it's taking our life force energy from us, right? So
exactly,
get back within And then we're cycling that within ourselves and making it stronger, aligning it to the energy in our brains, because we have a lot of energy in our brains. And we're, sending energy up here. And of course, Elitom and I have taught that in our retreats, how to do microcosmic orbit meditations and other types of things like Qigong and all that. Or just simply maintaining your own energy field, keeping your energy healthy, right?
Yep.
And that's
And
part
this is what we saying, right. And this is why we said you got to master, start eating less. Because the two things that's going to use a lot of the energy in your body is the brain. We know that uses a lot of energy, and also the abdomen. The abdomen uses a lot of energy to digest the food. When they're pulling against each other, you got the brain here and the abdomen here because you're overeating. It's going to go somewhere. But when you start learning how to eat less, you got more energy now that can be given to the brain. This is where you want to start out. Learning how to master eating less for that energy cultivation so you can stay in the flow, stay in the zone.
Absolutely.
And that's where you start manifesting things more quickly and all this other good stuff. I mean, I'm up here surprising myself now where it's no surprise no more, it's just the way it is. I'm fulfilling everything I want to do.
Yes.
Just thinking about it.
And I want to add something too, because we even did a whole talk on this last spring, I think it was, where we were talking about the digestion. Your stomach is the body battery. We have so much energy in our gut, right? And Qigong, that's called the Dantian, and in terms of chakras, it's like the sacral chakra. It's our energy life force right there. So if we're putting food in that part of our bodies and we're spending all our time digesting, we're not actually taking advantage of the fact that we can generate so much energy in our stomach and our intestines. Right. The whole system generates the whole body, or actually I should say it fuels the whole body. And I know it's hard to kind of wrap the mind around that you can be fueled without food, but we're just talking energy here. So you can think of your digestive system as a battery. So it's about eating less, keeping that empty, but then you're also working with the energy to send that energy throughout your body into your brain to keep you really activated, energized.
Right. So that's why you want to master the art of eating less. You want to master the art of being a good observer. And last but not least, you want to master the art of being a healthy person.
On every
physically,
level.
Emotionally, and mentally. This is really something.
And spiritually. And
right. Observe your thoughts.
Yeah.
As I was walking on the beach today, we have a consciousness. You always got this dialogue going on inside of you. What is it talking about? What is it thinking about? Look at it. It's all up to you.
I love it. Yes, pay attention to what your own consciousness is, right? How many people do that? What do you think about? What's the theme of your thoughts? What's your main system going on up here? What's your consciousness all about? Take a good look at that. Observe it. I love that, Elitom. I love it.
Oh, man. And then ask yourself at times when you do engage it, what are the highest thoughts I could be thinking right now? This is good.
Oh, I love that.
You have the greatest computer on the planet where you can do that. Oh my gosh. Let me show you what just happened. This is how powerful it is. Okay, we're in an age where we got these powerful computers. And it's always this man versus computer things that go down. And sometimes people say, well, the computer is more powerful. But no, it's just different. They just had a thing where they were observing a star cluster, and they had the computers, just to make this story short, seeing what these planets were doing in this star cluster every time they did whatever. But what happened is they was doing this for over 2 years, and it wasn't really getting the results they were looking for, even though that's what it was. But one of the scientists, a woman brought up, she said, all right, we had the computers tracking this. Let's get people to track it and observe it. because the human mind is good at picking up rhythms, and it's just as powerful or more powerful than the computer. There was people who laughed at it, but they got over what? 3,000 people to do the same observations the computers were doing, and it came out with something totally different that they found what they were looking for. These are supercomputers. They work differently. You're in them. They're good at picking up rhythms, patterns. They do it all the time. This is hooked up with the sun, hooked up with the moons, hooked up with so much. It's just that we don't know how to use it. You got to engage it. So on this lesson, this is basically what they're saying in the scientific field. The human mind just what? Overdid the computer. They're supercomputers. It is something that they wanted to what? Look for. So on the Breatharian knowledge, that's what you're doing. You have access to this thing. I told it I wanted to nourish me off of other things. It's hooked up to everything. Why not? This is powerful. So start looking at your thoughts. What are you thinking about? Moment by moment, day by day. Is this necessary to waste that energy thinking about that person? I don't even know him. I'm not there.
Right. And people.
This is what you got to start doing.
Right. And having control over your body. I asked one of my clients the other day, have you ever taken charge and just said no to your body when it comes to like getting sick or feeling pain? And she thought, no, I've never thought to do that. Do that. You have control.
Right.
Really, think of your brain as a supercomputer and you can control your body and your environment.
Yeah.
You are.
It is awesome on what it's doing.
Yeah. It's amazing. But I love the idea of being really, really hyper conscious of your consciousness. That right there is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I also love the idea of thinking your highest thoughts.
Yeah.
Living your highest life, walking your highest walk. That is a goal.
And in the scientific arena now, mostly all of them is going into consciousness. Some are saying consciousness is fundamental. There was a small group that said consciousness is an illusion, but they got blown out the water. No, we're not going for that one. Everybody's using it. We got to delve into it. Why not? You got it. You're using it. So when I see my life going a certain way, the first thing I look at is my consciousness. Is this the way we're driving the ship? What's going on? What's there? Hello, is anybody home?
I love it. I love it. And I guess the different levels of consciousness, because not everybody's conscious or being conscious of their thoughts or conscious of their eating habits or conscious in general, right? So yeah, I love it. So just be as conscious as possible.
That's why the prophets in the scriptures, they'll look at a group of people and say, you know, they're unconscious. What do they mean? That don't mean they were passed out. They were just not aware of the way they were thinking. That's what's causing their situation. Now, this is ancient stuff. Everything is mental. That's in the Hermetic laws. But now, since we're in this age, this good age that we're in, start looking at your thoughts. It does have something to do with your reality. Whether if you believe it or not, if it totally is doing something in it, whether if you don't believe, well, I don't create all of my reality. I think Bob is doing it or Joanne. All right, if you think that. But at least try to get the part that you know that you changing and got something to do with. Right, that's where you start at until it starts expanding. This is what we're talking, mind mastery. That's the Breatharian journey.
Yes.
Mind mastery.
Yes.
That's why I be challenging people all the time. Where do you get your protein from? What is protein? Well, you could get it from, I ain't asked you where you could get it from. Who told you that? We've been on this planet for a long time as a human species. When did that word even pop up? Did your grandfather over 100,000 years ago was thinking about, where am I going to get my protein? Absolutely. Now stop this foolishness. You don't know what it is. So when you start talking to yourself on that type of level, we're doing just fine. I don't need to go find out what it is. You conquered it. That was a mind blockage. And don't tell me you eat for protein right now. No, you don't. You're unconscious. Most of the people just putting in their mouth, I just got a taste for some pie. You ain't caring about the calories and stuff like this. That's why, again, master the art of being healthy. Start becoming conscious. No, I'm not eating when the sun go down, or I'll eat here, or I'm not going to do it here. You know, start gaining control. What are you thinking about?
I love
Challenge it.
I love it. And master the art of being
You're thinking about something. What's that?
I said, and master the art of being happy. Because that is
being happy.
Good food right there.
That is good food.
Good food.
That's a frequency, a high frequency that covers the whole body, being happy. Why are you unhappy? Well, I'm unhappy because, you know, I don't have a house, or what are you talking about? You've been here for the longest. Which one you want? And then when you get the house you want, then you're going to want another one. Already been through that. We need to stop it. Start being grateful. You are alive. This is something, ain't it?
I love that. Be grateful for being alive. I love that. And the more you're on this journey, the more gratitude you have, because life becomes more amazing and more beautiful.
Right.
It builds upon itself. You just naturally have more gratitude and more joy. So,
see, we're the ones that say you got a good life or a bad life. Life just gave you life.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, that's judging, right? Yeah. So get out of the judging mind and just observe and enjoy.
Let's observe and enjoy it. Let's start getting better and better.
Yeah.
Whoa. You're sitting there high.
I know.
Oh my gosh. This is the Breatharian journey. It's a mind. On the way, you said the key word, Shana, when you was talking about the perception. That's what it boils down to. Health is more than just the physical. However, like I was telling me the last retreat, your physical and how you treating it, because when you deal with the physical body, every aspect of it can be transformed. You can either transform it as something to work higher, or you can have it to work mediocre, or you can abuse it and don't pay it no attention. It's up to you. This is where you live at every day. This is my house. What you mean you crying you ain't got no house? I'm in my house right now.
And you're fully in it, fully at home.
Fully in it.
Yeah.
That's why I was walking the beach today, looking at what I'm thinking about. I'm here with my house. I'm here with my vehicle. We're sitting here looking at the sunrise. Oh my gosh, this is the mobile home.
Mm-hmm.
Don't even have to pay bills for it.
Yeah, solar power.
The lights is already on. That's how you have to think.
Yeah.
When you think on that type of level, creation has to back you up. See, and I'm going to bring this up just to bring it up. You challenging God to say, hey, I'm so grateful being alive. Don't make me be disappointed. It's going to back you up. That's what the forces are saying. Give me a reason why I should nourish you and be self-sustaining. Oh, you love life that much? Yep. I'm such a rebel. I don't even want to eat another animal. That's how you have to be. Yeah, but how about if that's the only thing you got to eat? So be it. I'd rather starve. You pick up that type of attitude, nature has to come in and back you up. Wait a minute. Don't, See, this is going to another level now.
Yep.
I'm so grateful. I don't even want to eat that flower. It's too beautiful.
Oh. Yeah. That's sweet.
Right. Nature has to back you up. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me they don't? And it's just a what? Some people look at it as just being a dandelion, a weed, but you look at it as being a beautiful flower. Nature has to back you up when you start thinking on that level. I don't even want to hurt it.
That's because you are nature, you know?
You are nature.
You are nature.
You don't want to hurt yourself.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Oneness.
All back to oneness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man. See, I just got high for us talking about this.
I know, I love it. I hope everybody out there can feel the energy. It's pretty light right now.
That's why I put another post on social media. I put a head with a brain in it, and it said, the conversation going through my head is a breatharian conversation. See, it's more than us just giving this broadcast. This is the way I talk to myself. How you think the message came? You think you got to listen to my teachings when you hear me teaching around? I got to hear it all the time.
That's constant programming, by the way.
Yeah.
Constant programming.
I reprogram myself.
The program is up here.
If you don't program yourself, somebody else is going to do it.
That's right. That's right.
So some people is telling the truth. I guess John and Bob is creating your reality. You keep listening to them. Now, they all right to listen to if they're doing something that's helping you create yourself in your reality. But if your life is going kind of sticky and stuff like this, you got to take a look back in your consciousness. Wait a minute. Square one. Who, what am I thinking about?
Yeah. Your consciousness and also your environment, like we were talking about in the beginning. What
Mm-hmm.
is your environment?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. This has been such a fun and good talk, Elitom. I love it. So thank you so much, everybody, for being with us today and listening and taking this journey. And it really is important. I think we raised some really good points today, but laugh your way into breatharianism, you know, watch all the levels of health, the whole thing. Pay attention to your consciousness, your thoughts, all of it, and just have fun. Just enjoy the journey, truly.
Absolutely. Laugh your way into it's the best medicine.
Laughing.
That's what they say.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, everyone.
Once again,
Tom, we love you.
Mwah. Love y'all. Keep up the good work and go higher and higher.